Some stories don't start with victory. They start with humiliation. And sometimes it takes just one cruel challenge to awaken a storm long thought dead. That's exactly what happened inside a Denver martial arts dojo, when a proud black belt mocked the quiet janitor mopping the floor. He thought it would be a harmless joke, a way to show off in front of his students. But within minutes, the truth about that janitor would silence the room and change every life inside it. It was a late Thursday night at Iron Fist Martial Arts Academy. Most evenings, classes ended promptly, but on this night, the advanced session ran late. The students lingered, sweat dripping from their brows, while their instructor, Ethan Caldwell, paced the mat with smug confidence. That's when he spotted Marcus Hill, 42 years old, quietly pushing a mop along the edge of the tatami. Ethan's lips curled into a grin. He raised his voice so every student could hear. "Hey, janitor, what do you say to a little spar? Or is cleaning floors the only workout you know?" A few students laughed nervously. Others shifted uncomfortably. Everyone could feel the cruelty in Ethan's words, but no one dared call him out. Marcus froze mid-swipe, then lifted his eyes. His expression was calm, polite, almost detached. "I'm just here to finish my work," he said softly. "Don't let me interrupt your training." But Ethan wouldn't let it go. He strutted across the mat, voice dripping with mockery. "Come on, man, just one round. I'll even go easy. Show these kids what a janitor looks like on the mat." The students exchanged glances. Some forced chuckles, others lowered their eyes. Marcus sighed, gripped the mop a little tighter, and shook his head. "No thank you. Please, just carry on." Ethan turned to his students, arms wide. "See that? Too scared. Some of us are born fighters. Others are born to clean up after us. Remember that." His words stung like knives. Marcus lowered his head and returned to his mopping, but inside, his chest tightened. Ethan's insults had cut deeper than anyone knew, because Marcus Hill was no ordinary janitor. 20 years earlier, under the name The Phantom, Marcus was a legend, an undefeated MMA champion, 5-time world title holder, revered for his icy composure and ruthless precision. He earned his nickname because he fought in silence, his strikes landing with such speed and certainty they seemed to come from nowhere. But his career ended in tragedy. Marcus had grown up alongside his best friend, Derek Lawson, in Chicago's roughest streets. They trained together, fought together, and rose together until the world knew their names. Derek was more than a teammate. He was family. But one day, during a training session before Marcus's 6th title bout, everything changed. Haunted by the racial jeers he'd endured in a previous fight, Marcus carried rage he couldn't control. In what was supposed to be a light spar, his punches grew sharper, harder. Derek tried to calm him down, but in a flash of fury, Marcus threw a strike he never meant to land. The crack of impact echoed like a death knell. Derek collapsed, motionless. By the time help arrived, it was too late. Though the world called it a tragic accident, Marcus knew the truth. His pride had cost his brother's life. That day, he walked away from the spotlight forever. He left behind titles, fans, and fame, living instead as a ghost, drifting from city to city, burying himself in ordinary jobs. And now, in this dojo, Ethan's arrogance had unlocked the storm Marcus had spent 20 years hiding. "Hey," Ethan sneered again, stepping closer. "What's the matter? Too scared because of your skin? Too scared to prove you're more than a mop?" Gasps rippled through the students. Even those who admired Ethan winced at the venom in his words. Marcus lifted his eyes, his calm gaze locking with Ethan's. His voice, though steady, carried steel. "If you really want this, then I'll fight. But if I win, you will apologize, not just to me, but to every student here. And you'll admit you've been teaching arrogance, not martial arts." The dojo fell silent. Ethan's smirk faltered for a second. Then pride pushed him forward. "Fine, but don't expect to last a minute." Marcus placed the mop aside and stepped onto the mat. His faded jacket slipped off his shoulders, revealing a lean, scarred physique that spoke of years in the ring. His posture shifted, no longer the quiet janitor, but something steadier, sharper. Ethan straightened his belt and barked, "Let's begin." The signal rang, and Ethan launched forward. His fists flew fast, his kicks cutting through the air with force meant to crush. But Marcus didn't flinch. With quiet precision, he sidestepped, pivoted, and let each strike miss by inches. Gasps echoed. Students leaned forward, eyes wide. Marcus wasn't just defending himself. He was reading Ethan like an open book. Every punch, every kick was countered not with violence, but with effortless evasion. "Stop running," Ethan shouted, his strikes growing wild. Sweat poured down his brow. The harder he fought, the calmer Marcus became. "Is this what you call teaching?" Marcus asked quietly, stepping aside from another furious kick. "Showing them that rage is strength?" Ethan snarled, his pride unraveling. With a roar, he spun into a reckless kick, his strongest yet. But Marcus shifted just enough. Ethan's leg cut through empty air, and his body toppled, crashing hard onto the mat. The dojo froze. Not a single breath stirred. Ethan lay stunned, his pride shattered before his students. Above him, Marcus stood tall, extending a hand. "This was never about beating you," Marcus said softly. "It was about showing you what strength really is." The room was silent, except for Ethan's ragged breathing. He stared at Marcus's outstretched hand, his mind spinning. This wasn't just a janitor. No ordinary man could move like that. Slowly, he accepted the hand and rose shakily to his feet. His arrogance was gone, replaced by confusion, shame, and a dawning fear. Who are you?" he whispered. Marcus didn't answer right away. He glanced around at the circle of students, their wide eyes locked on him, waiting. The mop, once his shield of anonymity, now leaned forgotten against the wall. There was no hiding anymore. "I used to be a fighter," Marcus said finally, his voice steady, but tinged with sorrow. "They called me the Phantom." The students gasped. Maya Lopez, still clutching her phone, quickly tapped into a search bar. Within seconds, her screen filled with articles and videos. Marcus the Phantom Hill, 5-time world champion. She turned the screen toward the others. Gasps rippled through the room. Some covered their mouths. Others whispered in awe. "He's a legend. I've seen those fights online, undefeated. But why would he be here, mopping floors?" Ethan's jaw dropped as the realization struck him. The man he had mocked, belittled, and challenged in front of his students wasn't just a janitor. He had once been one of the greatest fighters alive. Marcus drew in a long breath and continued, his words carrying the weight of 2 decades of regret. "I had everything, fame, money, titles, but I also had pride. And one day my pride took the life of my best friend. It was supposed to be a light spar, but I lost control. One punch ended his life. I walked away that day, and I swore never to fight again." The students fell into stunned silence. Even Ethan, usually brash and arrogant, stood frozen, the color draining from his face. Marcus's gaze softened. "I've spent 20 years hiding, trying to bury the man I once was. But tonight, Your words brought him back. And I realized something. Strength isn't about how hard you hit. It's about how much control you have when it matters most. Maya stepped forward, her voice trembling. Mr. Hill, you showed us tonight what martial arts really means. Not arrogance, not pride, but humility and respect. Her words cracked something inside Ethan. He turned to his students, shame heavy in his voice. I was wrong. I let my pride blind me. I disrespected someone who deserves more honor than anyone in this room, and I disrespected all of you by teaching ego instead of discipline. I'm sorry. The dojo remained silent, but this time it was filled not with tension, but with awe. For the first time, the students saw humility in their instructor. Marcus placed a steady hand on Ethan's shoulder. It's not too late to change. We all fall, Ethan. What matters is if we choose to stand back up differently. The young instructor bowed his head, his pride shattered, but his heart humbled. Around them, the students began to clap softly, then louder. Soon the dojo was filled with applause, not for Ethan, not for the fight, but for the lesson Marcus had given them. For Marcus, it wasn't victory, it was redemption. From that night on, the dojo changed. Students looked to Marcus not as a janitor, but as a mentor, a living example of humility forged through pain. Ethan, stripped of his pride, began his own journey of growth. And Marcus, for the first time in 20 years, stopped running from the ghost of the phantom. Because true strength isn't found in dominance, it's found in humility, respect, and the courage to face yourself. And so, what began as mockery ended as a powerful reminder. Never underestimate anyone, and never mistake arrogance for strength. Marcus Hill's story proves that the greatest battles aren't fought in the ring, but within ourselves. What do you think about his journey? From janitor to legend, from guilt to redemption. Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story inspired you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss more powerful stories like this. Because sometimes the quietest people carry the loudest lessons.